Welcome to the Midlife Lead, a lifestyle talk show for women in midlife. I'm your host, Sunita Johnson, and I am excited to share tips and interviews on topics ranging from business, career, current news, fashion, shopping, health, and so much more. And because I'm known as the Midlife Lead Coach, from time to time, I'll share some of my signature Midlife Lead coaching tips. So come on, ladies, let's reignite and reimagine our midlife leap journey together. Just a few months ago, we went to a wedding celebration on a gorgeous farm that I had to share with you. Think sparkling cafe lights, lush greenery, rose bushes, and a calming pond. See, anytime there's water, I'm sold. Think of this venue as for your next wedding or anniversary celebration or a huge blowout birthday bash. The Morning Glory Farm offers an at-home feeling of a quaint backyard with all of the southern aesthetic trimmings that nature provides. Morning Glory Farm is located in Monroe, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte. And the family that owns the venue are happy to assist you through the planning and the preparation process. Yes, not only do you get that southern vibe, the southern environment, but you get the southern hospitality on top. For more information, go to www.morninggloryfarmnc.com. and enjoy your next bash. Are you thinking about using bioidentical hormone replacement for your perimenopausal or menopausal symptoms? Well, if you are, I have a guest here, an expert, Jennifer Galarson. She's a physician assistant who is board certified in functional medicine as well as aesthetic medicine. Her passion is helping women who has perimenopausal and menopausal symptoms and have been minimized or ignored by themselves or by other practitioners. She uses root cause medicine to find the cause of symptoms, to help properly treat the problem or the symptoms rather than just covering them up with medicines, which, as we all know, can cause additional problems. Jennifer focuses on lifestyle changes, diet, sleep, stress management, movement, and relationships to help her patients start feeling like themselves again. Thank you for joining us, Jennifer. This is an exciting topic.
I find it exciting. I'm very passionate about it. And thank you so much, Sunita, for having me.
So tell us, how did you get started or interested in functional medicine and hormones?
So I was privileged enough to be in a job where three amazing women owned this practice. And we started out with aesthetic things. So things that people are sort of delving into, Botox and fillers and lasers. But we found that the owners, as they were getting a little bit older, were experiencing some symptoms that they were just not happy about. Hot flashes, night sweats, not sleeping, weight gain, irritability, all those things that now we sort of talk about with our girlfriends. They were experiencing those things and they were running out of options traditionally, offered to them. So they ventured out and looked. And at that time, I was about 35. What did I know about hormones and perimenopause? I had just had a child myself, my third one. And but our patients, they would come in for Botox or filler and they'd feel great and look great. And then as you're talking to them, you're like, well, how's everything going? And they're like, I'm not sleeping, or I have low libido. So then that just sort of transpired and we go into talking about hormones. So my practice would start out as a med spa, transitioned into sort of a full service hormone replacement practice. And then personally, as I was getting older, I had 3 children. I was working full time. I have my husband. You have your friends. You just sort of overextend and you really lose yourself. We all do, because we're good mothers. And I finally got to a point where I was on some medications I didn't want to be on, and I wasn't sleeping. And I just was feeling kind of like, hey, what about me? And so I started looking into functional medicine. I was already treating patients. I got certified in it. It took me about 2 or 3 years to take all the classes, and really embraced it myself, started living it myself, and then started offering it to patients.
Okay, so you were you having perimenopausal symptoms?
So I started having some depression, some stomach issues, bloating, constipation, you know, all the stuff you don't want to talk about. But and then I just wasn't sleeping well, maybe some hot flashes here or there. And, you know, the things that were okay in your 20s and 30s, once you hit your 40s, aren't so good anymore. So I had to make some lifestyle changes. And for me, there was a lot of diet changes. I was a high school and collegiate athlete. I was used to just go, 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 go. I never really had downtime. And I think that's really important for us to recognize that stress is not our friend, especially in this area where we are so stress driven. You know, it's almost a badge of honor. So learning how to meditate, slow down, pray, listen to my body, all of those things came into play. So yes, as I was getting older, and I'm almost 50 now, I'll be 50 next year, I myself started hormone replacement along the way, and it's really helped me, along with supplements, get off of medications and pretty much feel pretty good.
So wait, so I didn't know that there's medicine for menopause or perimenopause. I thought that was just something you naturally go through and we just have to accept it. So doctors actually are putting women on medicine?
So that could be a problem, because there was just an article in the Wall Street Journal about why are so many middle-aged women on antidepressants. So a lot of times when we come in with, I'm not sleeping, I'm a little depressed, I'm not, you know, maybe my libido is down, there aren't a lot of options for traditional practitioners to offer. So a lot of times you will either be offered the pill, like birth control pill, to stabilize your hormones, or antidepressants, or they send you to a talk therapy, a counselor or something, which I completely agree with, but for the wrong reasons. Like, I think, yes, everybody should be in therapy. I think it's wonderful, but it's just not going to solve all the problems. So yes, there are traditional things that are available, but they're probably not the right ones.
And I honestly never thought that because you hear people talk about antidepressants all the time, especially women, honestly, the pill as as well. But for menopausal issues, but I've heard of the pill, I guess, balancing the hormones, but I never heard of people getting antidepressants because of it. And I guess that makes sense, because if you're not sleeping or you're moody, the doctor's not really, are they not getting that it's perimenopause or menopause, or they don't care, there's money tied to it?
So this is just my opinion. Women are complicated. And a lot of practitioners aren't the jack of all trades. We are very specialized in our field. So if I had stomach problems, I go to a GI doctor. If I am depressed, I go to a psychiatrist. If I have hot flashes, I'll go to my GYN. But all those things actually are pretty interrelated. And if those three specialists aren't talking to each other, we kind of don't get a full picture. And that's sort of what functional medicine does. We deep dive into everything about you, and specifically you, and try and come up with, is there one or two reasons why you're having all of these symptoms? Because that can happen. And there's a lot of other things that can cause one problem. So for instance, some vitamin deficiencies can cause a lot of issues, or a lot of issues can cause your depression or hot flashes. So your first step would probably be to go to your GYN, and a lot of them are not familiar with bioidenticals, or if they are under the impression that they're a little dangerous, and they haven't been updated with the newer literature out there. So, yes, people are handed Band-Aids, but then I have a lot of time, but usually in a 10-minute visit, I can't get into, well, what is your exercise pattern? What are you eating? What's your stress? What are you doing to mitigate that? What is your sleep hygiene? That takes time, and they can't do it in the 10 minutes. And it's no fault of their own. It's just a broken system that we live in.
Got it. Thank you for explaining what functional medicine is, because that was my question. So tell me, what is bioidentical hormone?
Hormone replacement. Okay. So hormones, they're still doing the same thing. You're replacing something that your body doesn't make anymore. So after a certain time, Mother Nature has no more use for you. Your ovaries sort of go dormant, and then you experience these hot flashes. Maybe your periods get really short and close together, or they get super heavy, or they don't show up for 2 months, and then they come as a surprise. And then that is also snowballed into not sleeping, and maybe the irritability and frustration, and the kids are saying, why are you so mean, mommy? Why do you cry whenever every 5 minutes? So when things start slowing down, you can either take traditional synthetic hormones. So for example, the birth control pill is synthetic. It is made from pregnant horse urine, and it is made in a lab, and it similarly looks like what your ovaries produce. However, the bioidentical hormones are, again, they're also man-made, but they're made using like soy and yams, and those chemicals, or the properties of those medications, are then exactly like what your ovaries used to make. So when you're looking at something to fit into a receptor, there's a key. So say your hormones, the synthetic hormones and the bioidenticals are very, very similar. It's like a key that looks exactly the same. They both fit in the lock, but only one is going to unlock your door. Bioidenticals are going to sit in those receptors and act the way our ovaries hormones are made to work.
So it doesn't delay menopause. It just helps curtail some of the symptoms.
Correct. So yes, you are replacing what you are losing, and that can go on and it really does come down to a decision you make with your practitioner as to how long you go on them. Some studies suggest maybe 5 years will get you through that, but I have to say that a lot of my women that I'm, placing on and continuing through hormones over the years are saying, I feel so good that when I start to come off of them, I don't want to feel like that. I want to, as long as it's safe for me and things are checked and my levels are good, then I want to continue on this until I don't need them anymore.
Okay. Would you say that our symptoms are worse these days? Because like you said, you're a mom, a wife, you have a career. That's a huge load. And then you're still trying to find time for yourself. And God forbid if you have a dog.
Yes, if you got a pandemic pet, then you're up to here. So yeah, I'd say, are our hormones worse off nowadays than like say our mothers or our grandmothers? And I would have to say yes, for many reasons. Number one, the stress, but number two, we have so many endocrine disrupting things, like all the lotions and stuff that we put on our bodies, the chemicals in the air, the artificial lighting. We're usually not out in the sun. We're not in nature. So all those things that sort of toxify, and we can't detoxify quick enough. And then also, I think that our parents and grandparents were were silenced. Like they didn't really talk about it. And I think one thing that is good is that women are talking about it, and we're frustrated. We don't want to take an antidepressant when really we just want to sleep and feel good when we wake up.
So are people functioning with the antidepressant? Because it sounds to me like something that sort of suppresses your energy as well.
So everybody is different in how they interact with antidepressants, but some of my patients that are on, for instance, the category of SSRIs, Prozac, Paxil, Zoloft, they find that, and I was just talking to a patient about this, they're like this. They're not overjoyous and they're not super depressed, but they don't have that, this is life. This is life. Yeah. And how we deal with this is really important as much as we deal with this. So, but then also, and I'm sure some of your listeners and watchers will say, like, it interferes with your sex life. So a lot of the libido, because you're suppressing things, the libido goes down a little bit. Orgasms are harder to obtain, and that can be frustrating. Also can cause a little bit of weight gain. So then you don't feel good about your body. So yes, for some people, they are indispensable and there is a definite place for them. But if you're suffering from a hormone imbalance, it might not be the best option for you. And there are.
Okay. So what are some of the myths regarding hormone replacement that you would love to get rid of or correct?
Okay. So, well, I can tell you one of the atrocities is that there are no FDA approved testosterone replacements for women.
Okay.
There's probably 70 for men, and women need testosterone too. But it's too expensive to do the studies. And we have testosterone available, so we use it, but it is not FDA approved. So when you get to a clinician that's like, oh, there's no FDA approved, viable options. Yes, but there are tons of medications we use off label. So that's one of the things. I wish there was a study so that we could prove that women need a little bit of testosterone. We need it for bone health. We need it for muscle growth. We need it for just feeling overall well. But then also, it always comes up, hormones cause breast cancer. Or cause heart disease, heart attacks, blood clots. All of those things that you associate sort of with the pill can be translated into hormone replacement, because the pill is estrogen and progesterone, so is hormone replacement. So that would be one thing. I wish people were more aware that the Women's Health Initiative study, very important study, looked at hormone replacement in a very specific population and was actually stopped early because we thought we were having more breast cancer and we were giving them more heart attacks. But when we go 20 years, so it's been 20 years, hard to believe, since we've ripped everybody off their hormones, when we look back at those women who were given the hormones, especially estrogen, we're finding that they had less Alzheimer's and dementia. They had less fractures because their bones were healthy, actually less cardiac death, and they had less breast cancer. So all the things that we thought was very bad, when we look back at those women now, they actually did much better. So it's always a conversation I have with my patients that if you have breast cancer, hormones might not be good for you, but it is not going to create you're either going to get breast cancer or you're not. This is probably not going to cause you to have breast cancer. So, and then also there's also a lot of other benefits, the bone health, the bone strength, muscle building, and then of course, everybody's worried the dementia or Alzheimer's.
Yeah, I'm actually a caregiver for my dad who has Alzheimer's. So a question that came up to me, oh gosh, it just sort of left. Oh, I'm in the postmenopausal group. Does hormone replacement offer any benefits for us?
It really depends on any of your symptoms. So what I have found that women who are pretty impeccable with their eating and their stress management and their sleep, if you're like a super good with all of that, you can kind of sail through menopause. But then I have some people who are about 5 years out and they're still professionals and they want their brain to work, and the brain fog and the multitasking and the energy and the muscles, all of those things become a problem where, yes, hormone replacement can probably help with that. And perimenopause can last about 10 years. So although I started some progesterone when I was about 37 or so, and I've added things along the way, I mean, it probably for some people can last a really long time.
Yeah, because I was at a cousin's birthday recently, and another cousin, she was like, oh
yeah, we all know them.
What is it called? Hot flash or whatever. And I was like, oh, because she's a lot older than I am. I was like, you haven't gone through menopause yet? She's like, oh, yes, like 10 years ago. So I didn't know you could have symptoms after menopause still.
Absolutely. Yes, you can. And you continue to lose the protective value of them. So you could many years later, all of a sudden be like, oh my gosh, I have osteoporosis now, and I didn't know that was possible, but you're losing all that protection. Or like I used to run marathons or 5Ks or whatever it is. And now I can't do that. I've lost my motivation. I feel like my life is over. I feel like somebody pulled the pin out of me, and I'm thinking, those are all the things that women are coming in and telling me. And they're also multitasking. They're taking care of loved ones who are older, plus they have their children, maybe young children up to young adults, and then they have grandkids. So there is the demand, because we are the caregivers, there is that demand. And sometimes it just pushes us over the edge that we just can't keep up and know that there's something missing. And that's usually when they'll come in and see me.
And stress definitely makes everything, like anything that's going on in your body, I think stress definitely elevates that. Yeah.
It exposes your Achilles heel. It definitely does.
Absolutely.
Because we juggle so much around. And then if the stress is that much, it's like throwing another ball in the thing and everything comes tumbling down. And I think we've seen a lot through the last 2 years of the increase in the stress and then the increase of people seeking functional medicine. I know my numbers have gone up, or therapists, or like just saying like, enough's enough. I need to deal with things.
Yeah, we're trying to all be superwoman. So please tell us, how would a potential client reach you?
My office is in Rockville, Maryland. I'm right off of 270. You can call my office and make an appointment. Usually my first appointment is a get to know you. It's 90 minutes. We talk about everything. We become very good friends, but we go throughout your whole history from birth all the way to now, and everything in between, to sort of figure out what's your story, how did you get here, and how can we leverage some of those things. It's not always your fault. It's not always your fault that this is where you are. So they can call my office. The phone number is 301-231-5050. And then you can go to our website, and I'm sure you'll put a link in there, and they can request an appointment.
Okay. And those who are not in the DC area, can they work with you?
You can, as long as you touch Maryland. That's what our malpractice is. So Pennsylvania, West Virginia, DC. The only difference is I wouldn't be able to do a physical exam, but they usually will, I can order blood tests and stuff, and then we can do something like this where I go over everything and suggest supplements. And then I also partner with nutritionists, therapists, gyms, and food people. So if you're like, I know I need to eat this, but I can't, I have a service that'll do that for you. Or I know I need to work out, but I only like yoga. I can lead you there. Or I need a therapist. So I don't do everything. I establish sort of where you need to start working, and then I give you the tools to do it.
Got it. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And for those of you who want to look into functional medicine for hormone replacement, if you're not in this area, now you have more information where you've done some of your research, and you can reach out to those professionals in your area.
Yes, I definitely would recommend the Institute for Functional Medicine. It's ifm.org. And then you can put in your zip code, and then it'll tell you all the practitioners that are certified, and you can make an appointment with them.
Awesome. Great information.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jennifer. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for listening.